Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with The Brave, Season 1, Episode 13 review. Alright, so we are at the end of the first season for The Brave on NBC. Very emotional ending to this season, of course. Wow, and I watched it live last night. I was trying to do the review last night, but I was just way too tired after the episode aired, so I decided I'm gonna do it today. So that's why this one is a little bit late. I did want to get it out last night, but yeah. So anyways, really happy with how this finale turned out. Couldn't have asked for more, really. The writers really came through in their promise. They said last week, every ending has a beginning. And I thought that was really great. That kind of stuck with me a little bit going into this episode. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed. I was really happy with this one. So so I'll get into a little bit of a recap here. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit shorter because I do want to talk a little bit about season 2, the renewal, what ratings are kind of looking like, which way I think that it's going to go, and then of course favorite character rating, and then some more overall thoughts at towards the end of the episode, or towards the end of the review for the episode. And again, if you've been here since the beginning and you've been watching my reviews ever since episode 1, not sure how many people have, but if you are one of those people, I can't thank you enough. Like, that is amazing. I know some people though have been watching like at least like 5 or 6 of them, in a row here. So that's really great. That's really awesome. And I have noticed that like I'm one of the only channels that is doing consistent reviews for this show. So yeah, that's pretty cool as well. I mean, people want to see reviews, they kind of come here and then tune in, so that's really great. And I really love this show. I really do. So yeah, it's really just great to do something for a show I love and see the positive outcomes or whatever. So yeah. So anyways, this one, of course, I don't think we need to go over the mission. It's pretty obvious. It's a part 2, right, to the part 1 last week, and Close to Home it's called, and very great title as well. So this one, we see the day, this is the beginning of the episode here. So we see the day that Patricia gets Hoffman killed. Excuse me. And so basically she is talking to Hoffman over the phone when it's happening, and then him opening the car door, and this is the clip we saw before where, the car just explodes and he dies, right? But apparently he didn't, right? He's still alive, but everyone thought he died. So Patricia, is talking to him on the phone, does not even warn him once, acts totally natural about it, and of course she's like being put up to this, right? It's not her, her choice, really. But she does, support it because she knows Hoffman, has done the things that he's done, and he deserves his punishment, which is death, I guess, but like kind of hardcore. But anyway, so yeah, Patricia, acts completely normal, whatever, and then we see back to the modern time where Patricia talks to Hoffman again, and they're kind of back together, sort of per se, and tells him that he needs to help them with the 16-year-old girl. He needs to forget about, what happened 9 years ago, and he needs to help her, to help them with this girl, how she's innocent. And she really, she explodes, right? Patricia really explodes, and we don't really see that part of her pretty, very often. And Anne Hesh doing a great job in this scene. I mean, really, really serious. She's like banging the table, help us, and I totally agree. I mean, this girl is, she's hacked into these submarines or whatever, but at the end of the day, she's 16 years old, and, who knows if she's really, to blame fully. I mean, her dad was the one who basically taught her everything. So at the end of the day, she's innocent, and they want to rescue her from this group. So, for sure. So then we learn that the group, so I'm going to refer to them as the group because, or Victor and the guys, I guess, or Victor's group. So that's just kind of because obviously I didn't get names and stuff like that. But anyway, so we learned that Victor's group made the girl direct one of the submarines that we saw last episode getting hacked. It's the USS Wyoming, I think. And so basically, they made her direct this submarine so that it will go directly into Chinese waters. and so that it benefits the Chinese somehow, and then the U.S. loses the submarine. So they're not sure exactly how the Chinese are gonna, do it. They're either gonna, when the submarine goes in their waters, they're gonna take it, or something like that and kill the crew, or they are just, or they're gonna like use it as a thing to start a war or something like that. Anyways, it's gonna be bad, right? Not a good thing for the U.S. And of course, then at this point, the crew has lost complete control of the vessel, right? The girl hacked it so that, they have no way of controlling it and redirecting it. So, yeah. So Noah talks to the captain then, and obviously the captain's kind of, panicking here. He doesn't know what to do. And he tells Noah that he will sink the sub with its 151 crew members, we find out, if they do not redirect the sub in time. So he's not going to let the Chinese take this sub and do whatever they want, I guess, with the crew, right? I'm not sure what they would do. But they're not going to let the Chinese take this sub. He said, this sub's going to fly one flag and one flag only. And, if we get close enough, I'm going to sink it. And, they're not going to have it. So, pretty, ruthless stuff there. But that's just, the kind of guy he is. And really, patriotic and really, obviously, like, that's pretty much what you're told to do, right, as a captain. So, yeah, really great stuff there. So then he tells Noah that, and of course that creates a huge problem, because that means the death of 151 people would kind of be on Noah's hands, or at least the DIA hands. And obviously, that's a lot of American soldiers. So, anyways, really bad stuff there. So they need to somehow redirect this before the captain gets to that stage. So Hoffman then, of course, later agrees to help them for Patricia. So, he's only doing this for her. She says, I'm not doing it for you, or whatever, when Dalton, has a gun to his head, or whatever. And so anyways, so he helps them, and he leaves a message on his phone after Dalton unlocks the phone or something like that. And of course, that comes back a little bit later. But anyways, he leaves a message on his phone as a code to the group. He calls this dating service or something and leaves a message. It's all encoded so that this group knows, where he wants to meet or whatever. So the next thing they want to do is bring this Victor guy to them, pretty much. And he's the leader of this other group, by the way. We met him last episode really briefly, but we kind of get a little bit more information on him this episode. So basically, yeah, they want to bring him out to them so they know what he looks like, and then also maybe so they can track him back to his place. So Hoffman says he's never seen his face before. He's just, heard about him. He knows a few little things about him. So they need to get a look at him themselves, right? They don't have a way of knowing what he looks like. So they call this the honey trap. Dalton and the group were, calling it. So they basically send Jazz in to meet with Victor at the bar instead of Hoffman. So Hoffman says, meet me at this bar at 5 or whatever. And then, of course, Victor shows up, but then Hoffman never does, right? So he's just kind of there. And then Jazz is also there, and she goes in. So basically, Jazz goes in to meet with Victor, and she's kind of just sitting at the bar. And also, the important thing is that he's British and that he likes British women. So then Jazz, of course, puts on a British accent. And that was actually real because, Natasha Karam, the actress who plays Jazz, is actually British, I'm pretty sure. So that was a pretty real accent there, for sure. But anyways, so then, they're kind of just at the bar, and then to spark Victor, coming out, they're going to, try to do something. So McGee goes in and poses as her kind of abusive boyfriend, or what he calls, time to be a douchebag, or something like that, he says. And so, yeah, basically he goes in and he's kind of grabbing Jazz on the arm and, kind of just being, a douche, really, right? I mean, that's a great word. But then, of course, this gets Victor to come out, and then Victor, gets on him and starts fighting him, basically fights him for Jazz, right? And then, of course, McGee kind of leaves and says, you're fine, you have her, whatever, after getting beat up. And then, of course, McGee kind of has to take this beating, right? And, he can't let Victor know that he's trained. So, of course, that comes a little bit, comes back a little bit later on as well. But anyways, and then later on, Jazz, slips him her number on a sheet of paper, kind of I wouldn't say, kind of as, a thank you, I guess, for defending her against McGee, really not defending her, but anyways. So gives him her number on a sheet of paper, but it actually is a tracker. The paper is actually a tracker built into it so that they can follow him. So I thought this was a great scene. It was kind of cool. We don't usually see a lot of this. A lot of bar scenes and stuff. The last time we saw something like that would have been probably the Seville defection in episode 6. So that was pretty cool. I actually really liked that scene. And I like the comedy too with McGee, getting his ass handed to him there, and he had to act the part. So yeah, that was a great part there. Oh, my voice is a little hoarse, but yeah, so that was a great part there. I really liked that scene. So then next, Dalton and the team find where the group is located, and it's in a junkyard. So we did see this before. We saw this last episode, where they're kind of set up, where their camp kind of is, and it's in a junkyard. So basically, time is running out with the submarine, with Noah and Hannah. They're kind of, starting to panic here. They're giving the captain, stuff to do, but they know it's not going to work, right? They're just trying to kill time, and hopefully Dalton and his team can do something. So they devise a plan suggested by Hoffman, actually, so he's, helping them out again, to get the girl Verena, who's the 16-year-old girl, to turn off the power from inside the base instead of them, trying to shoot up the generators or whatever and all that stuff, right? This is easier. So they have to somehow, connect or communicate with Verena inside and get her to turn the power off. And obviously, she does it because, she obviously wants to be rescued. So, yeah, so the plan works perfectly. She's able to turn the power off without any of the, guys noticing. Then the team goes in once the power is turned off. It's kind of dark, really, really dark, actually, and they have, kind of these green, sorry, these, night vision goggles or whatever on, or the scope, and then the action music starts playing, and this was one of the best scenes of the whole season to me. I really liked this one. I felt like they could have maybe done it a little bit more fast-paced. It just seemed like a little slow for the type of, music, ramping up and the suspense and everything. Just felt like they could have, pushed it a little bit, to a faster pace there, but it was still pretty good. So, yeah, essentially Victor sends out his guys to take care of the problem, and, yeah, they basically started taking down these guys one by one. Really cool scene. I mean, the one guy gets stabbed in the throat. The one guy steps on a little trap thing that they set up, with a little string. And I think he actually gets hung in the air. That guy. And then they also shoot a couple guys down. So yeah, just a really great action scene. I really liked it. Really cool. And then they finally get back to Victor's shack when all the guys are taken down, and they say on the walkie-talkie, come out. There's only two ways that this is going to go. Either you're alive or you're dead. So that was kind of cool. Of course, Dalton saying that. And then they hear a gunshot. And Victor kind of aims it at Verena, for a second there. And then we hear the gunshot, and I'm like, no way that he just shot that girl. And then, of course, the team, kind of, just panics and just runs in, right? So they're able to subdue him after we hear, this gunshot or whatever. And we're, kind of led to believe, of course, that he shot Verena, but he didn't. Thank God, right? That would have been very, very bad. And I didn't think he would, but you never know. It's a finale, right? A lot of tension building up. So, yeah, so he didn't shoot Verena. He actually just shot the technology, the computers and all that stuff, which makes sense. Sorry, Verena, shooting her technology. So, makes sense. But anyways, and then they kind of subdue Victor, and then he stands up, and McGee just gives him a good right to the face, punches Victor in the face, a little payback for what happened at the bar. That was kind of funny. And then Dalton, do you feel better? And he's like, yeah, yeah, I do. So that was great. That was pretty cool there, when McGee punched him in the face. He definitely deserved it, that's for sure. Pretty satisfying. So then we get knowledge that Verena then has 5 minutes, only 5 minutes, to undo what she did with the sub, unless, sorry, she has 5 minutes to undo what she did, because, in 5 minutes, that's when the captain is going to, sink the ship, because, he doesn't want to go into Chinese waters, and then they lose the 151 crew members, right, along with him. So obviously they don't want that to happen. The only problem is she has 5 minutes to do it, but the power is now turned off, and the technology was all shot up by Victor. So she has no way of, getting back on this and hacking back. And then we get a commercial break, and you're like, how the hell is this going to work? How the hell is she going to do this? But then they get a plan, so Verena then talks to Noah and tells him how to fix it over the phone, by giving them, these codes and stuff, so they can do it. And they're doing it, in a way where, they're uploading a like the soldiers would download movies or whatever, right, to watch on the vessel, when they're off duty. But instead of doing that, they're actually going to upload like codes or something to give to the captain to reverse it and take control again. So yeah, then Noah and Hannah are able to do what she says. They're able to, use the codes and send them to the captain. And then the captain is able to take over the sub again, luckily steering it away from the Chinese waters. And that is, very suspenseful scene. I mean, we just, kind of see the sub getting closer and closer and closer. And then all of a sudden it turns and we're like, oh, really? Like, that's awesome. And then, but then, for a couple seconds, we're like, wait, why is it turning? The captain isn't replying, like, what's happening here? And then, of course, he replies, and it's all good. So, yeah, they solved that. The sub is now safe. It is back in American waters. It will not be going in the Chinese waters, which is awesome. So, very suspenseful there. And then that was kind of like the end of the first half of the episode right there. So after the submarine thing is resolved, I actually looked on my TV and I was like, oh, like there's still 20 some minutes left of the episode. Like what's gonna happen now? And then of course we get this big scene. So or big sequence, I guess, of scenes. So Hoffman and Patricia are talking about Hoffman's death, or his death, right? His supposed death. And he said, she should have warned him, and that's all he wanted. He just wanted her, to warn him. He said, run, Alex, or Alex, run. All she had to say is 2 words, and he would have been able, to get out of there, or whatever. But he's still alive, so I don't know why, I don't know why he cares so much about it. But obviously, he did care about her, and obviously she did care about him, right? They had a relationship. So for sure, that was kind of obviously broken, and Hoffman, is not able to forgive her. So then all of a sudden he says then that now it is Patricia's time to die, and to feel how he felt when he was betrayed and whatever, that she's not told about her death or something like that, which is pretty messed up, right? Obviously. And so the siren. That's actually really funny. Anyways, we need some sirens in this show. But anyways, I'm not sure if you hear that, but anyways, there's little sirens. So it's Patricia's time to die, he says, and pushes over the table with a device on it. And it was just like a phone, it looked like, right? So the table tops over, and it all of a sudden, sets the entire base, engulfed in flames. And then, Patricia and Preach, go down to the ground, and then it's like a commercial break, and I'm like, I was like that, like literally making that face. I'm like, what is going on? Wasn't that just a phone? I was so confused. I was like, I must have missed something. How did an explosive device get on the table and whatever? So of course it's explained. But anyways, so then right when we come back, we just skip to Preach and Patricia in the hospital. So that was kind of a big skip. I would have liked to maybe, and I'm always on this about time skips and time jumps, but honestly, I can't stress it enough. I just am not a big fan of them. So I would have liked to see, Patricia and Preach maybe helped out of the base, when it was on fire by some guys, and, kind of taken to the hospital. But they only have so much time, right? So, I don't blame them. But anyway, so Patricia and Preach are then in the hospital, and then we learn that Preach is in a coma, and Patricia, she was unconscious, but she seems to be fine. So it seems like Preach actually took most of the hit, or took most of the damage. He breathed a lot of smoke in his lungs. So obviously not a good thing there. So he's in trouble. He's in, really bad condition, but Patricia seems to be okay. She wakes up even too. So then she tells, who did she tell? I think McGee. So McGee's there, and then she kind of tells him what had happened. So we find out that Hoffman's phone was actually an explosive device as well. Like, it acted as both. And that Dalton armed it earlier when he made the call to Victor. When he entered that code to activate the phone, that was actually the code to arm his device, the explosive device. So pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy stuff. That's really smart, by Hoffman. Really well, thought out plan there. So Patricia, obviously figures this out, and crazy stuff, and it all makes sense, right? It comes back, and before that though, I was so confused. I was like, okay, let's just watch the rest of it, right? See if they explain it. But anyways, so, and then of course, then we switched back to Jazz, and she says, she's found no sign of Dalton at the hospital. All of them went to the hospital for Preach and Patricia, to see how they're doing, and Dalton's nowhere to be found, right? So we're kind of worried a little bit. But then we get the big payoff scene. This was probably the best scene in the whole episode. So, next to maybe, like, them, taking out the guys at the base. So, anyways, Hoffman somehow escaped the blast. Again, I guess he's just, like, immune to fire, and explosives, because he survived that car somehow. And then he also survived this big thing. And, like, it went off, like, a foot in front of him, too. So, how he survived, not sure, and he seemed completely fine. So anyways, he goes back for his laptop at the girl's house. So I think this was Verena's house that he's back at now, going for the laptop. I'm not completely certain, but I think that's kind of, how they kind of meant that. So anyways, he goes back for this laptop. Now the girl's house says it's very valuable and whatever. But then we see Dalton. So Dalton ended up following him there and was ready for him. So he's sitting at the table with the laptop and a gun in his hand, and that was just awesome, to see him there. So then Hoffman sits down with Dalton at the table, and they have a really interesting conversation about, nature over nurture and stuff like that. How, they get to be the kind of, men they are and stuff like that. And, Dalton says, they are different. He is better than Hoffman, in basically all respects. I mean, he definitely is. But then the suspense is building already, and then we see that Jazz reports back to Amir in the hospital, and she says they say that Preach didn't have his gun on him when he was brought in, and this is like, okay, like, what does that mean? Like a little moment like that. But it means then that Hoffman must have it. So Hoffman took Preach's gun when he left the base, and now he has it. And of course, Dalton, he doesn't know that Hoffman has a gun. He doesn't think he's armed. So obviously, suspense is building now. We see Hoffman is kind of, reaching his hand back a little bit for his gun. He's getting ready, reaching for that gun, and he goes to pull out. And it doesn't faze Dalton at all as he just shoots him before he can even get it out. The gun goes flying on the floor behind him. And then a couple seconds later, and then of course Hoffman says something about, that this is straight out murder, what Dalton's about to do. And then, of course, he shoots him once, the gun falls out of his hand. Then he shoots him again in the head, killing him for sure. I hope he's dead this time. No, maybe 9 years later we may see him surface again, but I don't know. Anyways, that kills him. That was, just awesome, man. That was an awesome scene, just ruthless, right? I mean, just winds up and shoots him right in the head and kills him finally. And he deserved it. I mean, he really needed to die. Terrible thing to say, but, it's true for all the things he did. And then I love this line from Dalton. He said, "I won't say anything if you don't," about, the murder, right? And because Hoffman, literally committed so many murders himself, and, Dalton saying, "I won't say anything if you don't," or whatever. So I thought that was probably one of my favorite lines of the whole season. I thought that was so cool. But anyway, so that was really great sequence there. And then we see at the very end of the episode here, Dalton goes back to the base. He finds Patricia's necklace, gives it back to her in the hospital. That was pretty cool. Pretty nice, kind of an emotional scene there. And then he goes and joins the team around Preach in his hospital room. And such an emotional moment here at the end of the episode. Really, really sad. I mean, the team basically... recounting, what Preach would say about the moment and, about all his philosophical, sayings and all this stuff and the way, that Preach, affected them and of everything. So obviously, he's in this coma. He's not dead, but he's not, conscious either. So he's kind of in this state. And then we see a tear from Preach coming down his face. So I'm not sure if that, if that means that he's hearing them and that he, is going to wake up from this coma. I'm not sure exactly what that meant. But obviously, that's definitely like something that happens, I guess, when they're in the coma. I'm not sure. But yeah, so we see that tear from Preach, and it's, everyone's, really emotional. Everyone's kind of in tears there. Really tough stuff. And then we see Noah and Hannah getting in the elevator at the DIA. I thought that was really cool because that kind of resonates with the very beginning, the pilot, where they kind of got in the elevator and were at the DIA. So that was really cool there. I really like that little thing there. And then we get that music kind of going, and very, very sad music as well. Team very emotional, standing around Preach, and then we see Jazz kind of breaking out in tears, and then Dalton, crying as well. And then the episode ends. That's it. Then the credits roll. So that's pretty much the ending here. What will happen to Preach? We don't know, right? We don't know. So hopefully season 2 if there is one, I think there will be. We're gonna talk a little bit about that, and just in a few seconds. But yeah, what will happen to Preach? Big cliffhanger for the season here, and great way to end the finale. So really great stuff there. Really good emotional ending, and yeah. So now I'll talk a little bit about the Renewal season 2 stuff and some overall thoughts and a rating. All right, so now I'm gonna just touch on the season 2 stuff. Like I said, sorry. So basically, question is, are we going to get renewed? Is the Brave going to get renewed? And I strongly encourage you, if you're watching on Twitter, please, use the hashtag renew the Brave. You're tweeting about the show, or hashtag the Brave at least, something like that. And tell your friends about this one too. I mean, I'm sure that, a lot of people, if they keep watching on, NBC's streaming services and all that, the NBC website, then I'm sure, the ratings will continue to go up, and that obviously contributes to the overall ratings. So, yeah, really great stuff here. Honestly, in my opinion, of course, I'm hoping that it gets renewed, and I'm sure a lot of fans out there are, but we'll have to see. So, basically, from a rating standpoint here, I have a little graph up here. And so this graph actually only included episode 10, 11, 12 on it, and then I added 13. I did some research for the episode 13 numbers. So basically, episode 10 we have 2.93. These are live U.S. viewers in millions, so 2.93. Episode 11 went skyrocketed from there. Actually, we got 1 million more. More than 1 million more live viewers in this one. So episode 11, 3.95, and I'm not surprised. Episode 10 was a very good one. So then from 11, we get 340 for episode 12. It went down a little bit. I got some, I actually saw some mixed feelings about episode 11, but to me it was one of my favorites of the season. And then episode 13 last night. Now this isn't confirmed yet, I should say that. It's not confirmed, but these were the most reliable numbers I found. So 390 for episode 13. So yeah, so obviously went up from episode 12 there. Went up, I guess 50,000. I think that's kind of what that is, right? Or 50 points, I guess. And yeah, but then of course you kind of see, not on this chart, but in the past we had 518 and 503 before the break. The last 2 episodes before the break. What happened? And honestly, I think it's NBC's fault for this one. They really didn't do enough advertising between, times here between December when it ended and then back in January when it caught up again. I really just don't think they marketed it well enough, and that's why the ratings just fell, or I guess the viewership fell, which is really tough. I mean, that's really not the show's fault, and, it is what it is. So, yeah, really quite a disparity there between episode 9 and 10, but I say they bounced back pretty well. I would say they bounced back. I was hoping, maybe they'd be at a 4 for this finale, but it seems like it is not. So, anyways, what do these ratings mean? I think that they're good. I think that this finale going back to 390 is very strong. That's the second highest, number for this half, the second half. And I don't doubt that this is enough to get it renewed. We will have to see what NBC does. Honestly, right now, if I had to give it a chance, I'd probably give it a 60-40 at this point. 60 for renewal, 40 for not. Just because, yeah, I feel like this finale really needed more than 390. Still, it's an encouraging number for sure, but, just not quite, amazing, right, that it would spark that. So we'll have to see what the overall viewers, though, as well, right? Those will come in a few weeks, I think. But those are also important, people that PVR'd it, that are watching on the streaming services, like I said, online. So those numbers will be big, too. So we'll have to see where those numbers take us. But obviously, for this one, I would say overall it's decent, right? It's not looking amazing. This finale doesn't, push them over the edge that they're going to renew, and it doesn't, put them down in the tank like they're going to get, canceled. So I think it's just kind of in the middle here, and we'll have to see what happens. So I'm really hoping for a season 2. I'm probably going to upload a video on this, a little news talking about season 2 as well in the future. The creator, Dean, he actually said that they won't know till May if they get renewed or canceled. So that's a long time. But anyways, that's kind of the timeline. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait till then to see if this one gets renewed. In the meantime, I'll probably watch through the series again just because I really like it so much. Rating for this one is going to be a 4.8 out of 5. Yeah, really great follow-up to last week. The writers came through on their promises, like I said. every ending has a beginning, and I felt like last episode was a little down, one of my least favorite episodes of the season. This one of my favorites. Really came through, really came out and really entertained me for sure. Very happy with the finale wrapping up this great season of television. I'm honestly so happy that I picked up this series and I started watching, and right from the pilot I was hooked. I mean, they really had me hooked, and I watched every episode since then, and I've done reviews. So really happy I found this show, and I'm really happy that I know of Mike Vogel, because he was the one who brought me to this show. So really great stuff there. And yeah, I felt like it was great. I mean, it left us with a cliffhanger, very emotional, very action-based. I just felt like it was awesome. Really great finale here. And another, kind of my negative part of this is it seemed loaded. And it could have been, I feel like this could have been a little bit spread out. So I felt like, yeah, last episode was, boring, kind of a down one. Well, then put some of this stuff in last episode. I feel like last episode had a lot of, kind of time wasting a little bit at times. And I feel like you put some of this stuff in last episode, okay, maybe this one isn't as great, but maybe last episode is better, right? That's just kind of my opinion on that one. But yeah, it did seem a lot, like it seemed really loaded. Like there was a lot of stuff that happened in this episode. But anyways, that's kind of my only negative, though. I really, really enjoyed this episode. Favorite character is going to be Adam Dalton, going out with Adam here, Mike Vogel. Amazing actor. I mean, Mike is great. Of course, he, like I said, he's the one who kind of got me into this one, and really, really glad I did, of course. And yeah, Adam Dalton, really great stuff. Killing Hoffman finally at the end of this one. I won't say anything if you don't. I love that line. That is awesome. But, and yeah, and obviously him with the team, taking out the guys with Victor's group and the junkyard there, and just his leadership throughout. I am a little bit kind of, not upset, but kind of, just a little bit let down that Jazz and him, we didn't see something between them in this finale. I thought we would, which is a little unfortunate. But I'm sure season 2 we get it. I'm sure that we'll see some between those two for sure. But anyways, really great character here. My favorite in the show for sure is Adam Dalton. Second would probably be Jazz, to be honest, or Noah. Noah's up there as well. But anyways, really great job by all the cast. I'm highlighting Mike Vogel here, but the whole cast did a great job this season. I feel like the actor who played Hoffman too did a really good job in the last 2 episodes. So really, kudos to him as well for that. And Anne Hesh, really great in these last 2 episodes, kind of being a spotlight character for sure. So anyways, guys, that'll do it for the Brave Season 1. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for sticking along with me for this whole season of the Brave. Honestly, I'm a little sad that it's over. Hopefully we'll get a Season 2. Like I said, I'll be back with a video kind of giving an update on that. Maybe even before May, I may, talk a little bit more about it, and we'll see from there. But anyways, guys, like I said, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the support on my videos. We're at 21,000 total views. I can't believe it. We're going so fast per day, and it's really awesome. But anyways, great stuff. I'm sad that this is over. But anyways, be sure to check out some other reviews as well. Now that this one is done, I still have the rest of my winter lineup coming out. American Crime Story I'll be doing week to week. So if you're tuned into that one, please check that one out as well. And check out some other older videos on the channel as well. But anyways, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in my next review.